Welcome, everybody. It's hard to believe it's already that time of the year. We're already to bowl season. So I'm curious. I have a little wager going with my brother to see how many of these bowl games I actually get right. So we're going to see if I can predict them all and kind of provide a preview along the way. And then at the end of the video, I'll kind of give my prediction, on what I would do. And I don't gamble, but if I was gambling, what side would I take? So starting off, our first bowl game's December 13th, which is amazing and hard to believe. We're right around the corner. So getting right into it. So obviously the first bowl game is the LA Bowl, hosted by Gronk, and it'll be Washington Huskies versus Boise State. So should be a pretty good game. Honestly, I'm a little concerned this game's going to get out of hand. Just because I feel there's a disparity among the teams. So Boise, of course, won the conference, which was great. I mean, they managed to, they had a great season, especially after the way it started. I kind of wrote them off after, they lost badly to South Florida. Watching them go down there and get beat that badly, I was like, what's going on? But they've battled back. I mean, they've taken a couple tough losses to Notre Dame, which is kind of to be expected. Again, you've lost to really the normal teams. The one that hurt the most is losing that San Diego State game. That was a game they probably shouldn't have lost. And honestly, only scoring 7 points in that game was pretty disappointing. But so Boise State's had a pretty good year. They've actually been pretty strong across the board. It's a good head coaching job, especially after how much they lost last year. Genty was such a big part of that team. Losing all of those team members and being able to still go 8-4 is pretty impressive. The challenge you're going to run into now is they're going up against Washington. And this is not like hey, this team barely was eligible, this is not a very good team, type of team. This is a really good football team. I've watched them play multiple times this year. Every time I've come away impressed with how they've done. They haven't always won the game, and in fact, they've lost a lot of their primetime matchups. But, I mean, think of the teams they've lost to this year. Their losses are to Ohio State, who's obviously the number 2 team in the country. Their losses are to Michigan, who's currently ranked 18, at Michigan. They lost probably the game that's probably the most disappointing was that Wisconsin game. Again, they just could not run the football. Wisconsin's run defense is so good all year, and they managed to really get to the quarterback. So it's impressive, and he really wasn't able to escape with his usual escapability. So it was a good game, though. They lost 13-10 at Wisconsin, so it's kind of one of those Big Ten rivalry games you kind of take with a grain of salt. And then they lost at home versus Oregon, who's the number 5 team in the country. I mean, this is not a team that, is barely getting in or barely walking in to play Boise State. This is a team that looks ready to go. I mean, they have a lot of momentum. I mean, they're starting multiple true freshmen along several different parts of the offense. And I mean, those players are just getting better every week. Every week you can tell they get a little bit more comfortable. They're playing a little bit better. I mean, some of these victories they've had, they beat Illinois is a good team. They beat them by 17. Rutgers beat by 19. They beat UCLA by 34. They beat Purdue by 36. Like, this is not going to be a team that's going to be intimidated, and it provides a little concern for Boise. Now, from the Boise side, what you're going to have to do is Boise's offense is going to have to figure out how to score. The challenge with Boise, in every game they've lost, they just have not been able to figure out how to score. They've lost the San Diego State game, they only scored 7 points. Lost to Fresno State, again, only scored 7 points. Lost to Notre Dame, 7 points. And I think you're kind of getting the theme here. South Florida, 7 points. Losing 4 games, and you're scoring 7 points in every game. Like, that's my concern here. Washington has a good defense. They're not, like, elite, top of the pack, but it's a good defense in college football, and Boise has shown when they play a real opponent, they're gonna be in trouble. Like, there could be some real concern from the Boise State side as to how you generate points. I think if you want to give Boise a real shot in this game, Boise's gonna have to get a turnover early. They're gonna have to stay in the game, get Washington off the field on 3rd downs, and really they need to have the defense get a takeaway or two, because I just don't know if their offense is going to be able to score enough points. With the loss of Genty last year, you can kind of tell the offense hasn't been what it's been in the past. You've seen some of the games they've managed to score, like, they've beat up on bad opponents. So, like, Air Force, again, they kind of have a 49-37 victory. Fantastic, But the challenge is you scored 49 against Air Force. Same thing, App State, they managed to score 47 points. Another good victory. New Mexico was actually a pretty good win where they scored 41 points. But the question is, New Mexico's on one level, and then you got Washington, which I believe is on a completely different level. So I think those are going to be pretty tough games. UNLV's another one where they scored 56 points, but can they do it again? So Colorado State scored 49. So it's kind of been the tale of what does the offense do? The offenses look dynamic at times, but the challenge is in the games where it's really mattered, in those games where you got to have it. You're playing a similar talent level team, or in case of Notre Dame, you don't have the talent advantage. Notre Dame pretty clearly has the talent advantage. They can't generate any offense. I mean, their defense has played decently at points this year. Definitely not a standout defensive performance by any means amongst Boise State this year. So my concern is the teams that have been able to beat Washington have been kind of able to throw that Washington quarterback. They've been able to get, I don't remember his name. They've been able to get him off balance. Demond Williams. They've been able to get him off balance. Like in the games you'll see they've won, Washington scored 10 points. They scored 14 points versus Oregon. They scored 6 points versus Ohio State, and they scored 7 points versus Michigan. I mean, the real key is, can that defense hold Washington down? Like in games where you allow Demond Williams to get comfortable, I mean, you're going to see a semblance of what you saw at Rutgers. Like Rutgers, they held them in check the first half, but in the second half, Washington just ran wild. I mean, and Washington is a team that can and will put up points. So I mean, you're really going to see a kind of a tale of two different teams. So they kind of have the same thing of they just don't score a lot in games they lose. They're not losing shootouts. Usually when they're losing to by scoring under 10 points. Same thing with Boise State. So I don't really know how this is going to go. I am concerned, and the side I'm going to end up on is probably going to be the Washington side. I mean, this Washington team, I don't think people are giving credit to how good this Washington team actually is. I mean, this Washington team, I mean, they're 8-4. Their 4 losses are they're some of the best losses in the country. Like, I mean, they had to play the ruthless Big Ten schedule, and I mean, they got most everybody. They got Oregon. They got Ohio State. They got Michigan this year. Like, this is not a team that just avoided everybody and just kind of coasted. A little bit kind of how what people thought last year of Indiana before they really took off. Like they played the major teams, and I mean they took their losses in those games. But man, when they strip out those games, their schedule looks impressive. I mean they've beat Maryland at Maryland, they beat Illinois, beaten Purdue, beat UCLA. Those are good wins. I mean, and that's what I think you got to remember. So I think if I was taking this game, I certainly would lean heavily on the Washington side, and that's the way I'm going to pick Washington absolutely here. The question is, and if you look at the betting line, right now it's 9.5, so just shy of 10 points. So the question is, do you believe Boise State can kind of muck this game up and keep it close, or will Washington run away with it? So as you take a look at the games Boise State's lost this year, it's kind of been they are either super hyper competitive or they just absolutely get, waxed. Like there's not even a doubt in my mind. So I on this one would lay the 9.5 points. So I would be minus 9.5 for on the Washington side. I think everything's going to favor them. It looks like it's going to be a great day and playing in SoFi Stadium. Like there's no reason to think the elements are going to be involved at all. And I mean, Washington's they're going to be able to go there. I think Washington will travel probably a little bit better. So it'll be mostly a Washington crowd kind of supporting. I think Boise State's a team that's been known to travel well too, but I think Washington's one of those teams being in the Big Ten, kind of down there in Southern California. You'll see a decent number of fans there. I haven't heard of any opt-outs yet, but if that does, that could change things pretty drastically if one of them. But I think most everybody on those teams is coming back next year. So I think from that perspective, I would take Washington minus 9.5. That is going to be my prediction for the game. I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm excited for bowl season. It'll keep us going until the playoffs start later in the month, so we can kind of get a little bit of football outside of the Army-Navy game. So it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll check back in hopefully with a reaction video after the game to give my thoughts and opinions on how the game went and kind of what if this was how the game played out and what each team looks like going into next year. Because I think, especially on the Washington front, you got to be really excited if you're a Washington Huskies fan right now. the recruiting class they just took in, along with all the true freshmen you're playing, there's not a better feeling than I think most Washington fans are going to have than, hey, next year could be our year. We could be, maybe not on Indiana's caliber, but we could be 10-2. We could be 11-1, schedule prohibiting and stuff. So I think you're gonna see a little bit of that, and I think you're gonna be, as a Washington fan, you'll be excited, and as a Boise fan, I think you're gonna be excited too. I mean, the quarterback's been pretty good this year. We're just gonna need they're gonna need better play, but I think Boise State, of course, has won their conference multiple years in a row, and I think next year I don't really see it happening any different. And I think if they get a couple lucky breaks, Boise State could be a team to watch out for. So we'll kind of get the reaction to kind of how the game goes, what it looks like, and then how everybody's looking at for 2026. So thank you all, and I'll talk to you guys later.